Imagine this: she walks into the room, glances at you, expecting a reaction, and nothing. You're buried in your phone or glued to the TV. You might think it's harmless, but this pattern of ignoring her could be silently unraveling your relationship. You ever wonder how she's processing that silence? Well, today we're diving deep into the psychology of what happens when you consistently ignore her and why it might just be costing you way more than you think. Point 1. Women's need for validation and attention. Women, like everyone, crave connection and validation, but for many, it's deeply tied to feeling valued and seen. Ignoring her consistently can feel like a personal rejection, even if you didn't intend it that way. Think of it this way: if she's putting in energy to connect and feels she's not even getting a glance back, she starts to question her worth in the relationship. Ever notice how she suddenly gets chatty when you're in the middle of something important? It's not always bad timing, she's often looking for that validation. And here's where it gets interesting: when ignored too often, her mind can start building a case against you. Curious to know what this case is? Stick around. Point 2. The silent treatment's psychological effects. Consistently ignoring her can lead her to withdraw, using the classic silent treatment. But here's the twist: while you might think silence buys you peace, it's actually a form of revenge. Studies reveal that the silent treatment activates the same areas in the brain as physical pain. Ignoring her could be hurting her more than you realize. So if you thought silence is golden, you might want to rethink it. In this case, silence is more like a time bomb. And that case against you? Well, it's not just personal. Ignoring her can start triggering feelings of inadequacy and insecurity that linger even beyond your relationship. Point 3. How ignoring her shifts her perspective on you. When she's consistently ignored, it's not long before she starts seeing you in a different light. A man who used to be her source of joy becomes, well, a source of stress. This shift can happen without either of you even realizing it. And over time, it reshapes how she feels about you. Imagine you're her therapist for a second. "I love him, but he just doesn't see me." Yeah, that's what she's probably saying to her friends. But here's the kicker: once her perception of you starts to sour, it's incredibly hard to go back to how things were. Want to know why? Let's keep going. Point 4. How ignoring her can push her to look for attention elsewhere. One of the most concerning impacts of ignoring her consistently is the potential for her to start seeking attention outside the relationship. It's not necessarily about infidelity, but more about feeling validated and valued, even if that validation comes from friends, coworkers, or even strangers. Think of it as emotional outsourcing. She's hiring others to fill the void you're leaving. But before you jump to conclusions, this doesn't mean the relationship is over. There's a way to reconnect, if you're willing to make some changes. Point 5. How to rekindle connection attention. The truth is, small actions can make a big impact. Just a compliment, a genuine question, or a spontaneous hug can rekindle a feeling of connection. The human brain responds to these small bursts of positive reinforcement, and it doesn't take long for those sparks to reignite. Just imagine her saying, "Who are you? And what did you do with my partner?" when you suddenly show more attention. But don't get too comfortable. Change needs consistency. If you're not consistent, she'll see right through it. And that can actually hurt more than ignoring her ever did. Point 6. How consistency can restore trust connection. Trust is built on consistency. When you start showing her she matters by giving consistent attention, you're not just being nice, you're giving her a sense of security that she craves. This simple change can be the difference between a relationship that grows and one that fades. Imagine her seeing this change, and suddenly you're not just the guy who ignored her, but the guy who makes her feel like the only person in the room, not a bad reputation to have. Ignoring her might seem like no big deal in the moment, but the long-term impact, it's huge. Each time you choose attention over indifference, you're reinforcing your relationship in a powerful way. Because at the end of the day, it's the small, consistent efforts that keep a relationship strong. If you're interested in taking your relationship even deeper, check out our next video on signs you've found your soulmate. Sometimes, finding that true connection means seeing the one right in front of you. Hit that link on the end screen, and let's take this journey to the next level together.